see me so long. Welcome to the Tempest Universe with Manny. Today's special, robbing with fried rice.
China.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
It's China to me, China.
Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside.
China.
This is the Tempest Universe, man. Hold on to your ass. You're in for a hell of a ride.
Welcome to the Christmas episode of the podcast. No one really believed this was going to happen today. I didn't even believe it, but guess what? I'm here. And you know, the news stories for today are kind of like a look into the future, a little bit of the past mixing in. And it's just some crazy stuff we got going on. Space missions going on next year. There is a story about an actor that anyone that's seen the Alien series, they should know this person. You might not know him by name, but for damn sure you'll know that face. And actually, you're probably looking at the episode image. You're looking at him. But we'll get to that in a brief moment. The other thing is Avi Loeb. Man, Avi Loeb does not stop promoting what he's doing, and it's fantastic. For those of you who do not know Avi Loeb, get with the program. I think Avi Loeb is the one who's going to continue shaking the foundation of those people who are trying to silence, you know, those that believe in ufology and or UAPology, whatever the hell you call it. I listened to a podcast over the last week of Avi, and for fuck's sake, he stays on point. He's staying on task. He is not shying away from the topic, and man, he's not playing. And thank goodness, right? Because you know, a lot of people, they will get a little notoriety. They'll write a book, make a few bucks here and there, and they're like, I'm done. Let me go back to doing my other stuff. Yeah. Now, with Avi Loeb, because he was so vocal about UFOs and aliens and things coming from 4.2 far, it's probably really hard for him to go back to normal, whatever that is. And this might be his normal. He was probably the guy in the cafeteria at Harvard who sat by himself, you know, in the corner somewhere. They didn't even let him go into the teacher's lounge. I'm just saying. It is very possible that he just said, fuck it, I'm just going to come completely out and tackle this topic the way I know how. And thank goodness he did. Because you need someone with his credentials to be involved in this, along with, Michikaku, that guy. Michikaku, I don't know how the fuck you say his name. But anyway, another scientist, prominent one at that. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I mean, 6 minutes in, I played that Christmas song. You know, Merry Christmas to everyone who does observe it. And thank you to everyone else for joining the podcast. We are going to kick this off in the usual fashion because why not? You're like, man, just get to it. Just talk about the damn story. No, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to wish my president a fantastic Christmas because this is the way he got up this morning. With some nice warm milk and some freshly baked cookies at the White House. This is what went down.
So get up, stretch my legs. Eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face. Start my day. Wake up, get up, stretch my legs. Eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face. Throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go. See the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Drink some water, brush my teeth, get out of bed and I stretch. Bed in my hair is a mess. Look through my clothes for a fit. Anything I do is drip. Feel like a kid when I'm tick-tocking, I still keep it real as it is. I show my age, I don't switch often, I'm just as a dad as it gets. Try taking naps with my kids, talking, I'm guessing this life how it is. And I can't wait for the weekend, keep jammies on like I'm a kid. Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. Feel good, feel great, can't complain. Look out my window, see birds and planes. Sun's out, some clouds, it might rain. Siblings on my nerves again. Summertime, go for a swim. Wintertime, go grab a sled. Spring, I might need an umbrella. Fall back in school with my friends. Attitude change like the weather. My mom tell me it never ends. Like clocks, we evolve in a circle. Every 12 months, we do it again. Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
This topic, which was published by Salon, the magazine, actually starts off with Dr. Avi Loeb, and he's talking about why things are moving and shaking in the alien conversation world. Now, we got to preface this, right? Because just because it's unidentified doesn't mean it's alien. But, when you can't explain it, and the government doesn't give you any answers, and, they never know anything, but then they do, and then all they know is that we, the people, are wrong. Then guys who are credible people, who have lived basically the life of a theoretical physicist rock star, they tend to become, highly regarded when they finally turn around and open their mouths. Avi Loeb has been that for a few years now. And he's out there and he's talking to this publication, Salon, and he's talking about how there's a real big shift in public opinion when it comes to the topic, because there's a bit more of an open discussion. You're not a screwball anymore. You're not a weirdo. You're not a tinfoil hat candidate. Now you've got scientists, politicians, people in law enforcement, pilots. Everybody's open to the conversation now. It doesn't mean that they're not being regarded as crackpots. It just means that a lot more people are willing to listen and not just write them off like they were crazy. Loeb, in his interview, and actually in the interview that I listened to last week, he said the same thing, patting himself on the back, of course. But, when you're a mega superstar, that's what happens, right, I guess. He said that he has a lot of fans in Iran when it comes to this topic. Scientific groups in Iran are applauding him for joining the UFO discussion. But he says, the reason I point that out is because I'm Israeli. And what he's trying to say is that the UFO topic transcends borders and conflicts. I mean, at least right now, right? Let's be honest. Eventually, we're going to get to some aliens, sometime in the future, 200-300 years from now, I guess, at the rate we're going, where they're going to make people choose sides. Because there is no way that every damn alien in the universe is happy-go-lucky. Nonetheless, at the moment where we are in our basis for knowledge and perspective, this is a topic that could unite people. I mean, we heard this, right? Wasn't it Ronald Reagan who said that? So he's mentioning things like that because he says, listen, it's a universal conversation. It's something everyone wants to know about. We want to see this. We want to see this across geopolitical boundaries. We want to see this across religious beliefs. And of course, scientifically, we want to get involved. We want to figure out what's going on. Then he says the topic unites people, which is great if he's going for president of some country somewhere. If he wants to lead Israel, it might help him in the future. Whatever Avi Loeb's going to do. But one of the things that we know is that this is a big deal. Now it's finally a big deal because we've had the director of national intelligence get involved. We've had NASA get involved. Hell, NASA put together that team in June that basically is going to be looking at public records, things dealing with UFOs, specifically those that dealt with our F-18 Super Hornets with Lieutenant Commander Fravor back in the day, 2007, I believe. And they're going to be, just looking at the data, see how better to examine these incidents and, find a better way to do it. Thanks, NASA. We appreciate that, whatever. NASA should just focus on going to the damn moon and stop fucking around with everything else. But anyway, so you got that panel they put together. A fascinating thing in this particular article is that Avi Loeb said that the year before, in 2021, he proposed to NASA in conversation that they needed to get a panel of people, scientists and engineers and stuff like that, in order to look at UFOs. A year later, they put the panel together, but they told Avi to kick rocks. They didn't want him on the panel because he was already involved in the Galileo project, which he is very proud of. I can tell you that much. But because of the Galileo project studying UFOs, they decided that he could not be. It would be a conflict of interest for him to be involved in a NASA panel and also the Galileo project, which honestly, thank goodness he wasn't on a NASA panel. The Galileo project is the one where we really need Avi's attention at, and it really is focused on that, to be honest. One of the things that Avi is going to go after next year, as a matter of fact, was the meteor that landed a few hundred miles off the coast of Papua New Guinea and exploded. According to data that was confirmed by the United States government, this incident, which was confirmed in 2022, is apparently had a light curve called the fireball that was created by this meteor that is giving an indication that this was not from our solar system. The quote is from Avi Loeb: the release of the light curve of the fireball that indicated that this object was tougher than any other space rock that were cataloged by the United States government. So what Avi is inferring on this is that means that whatever its origin is, it must be different than the solar system, because all of the other objects of space rocks are likely to have originated from the solar system. In other words, this one didn't blow up the same as the others, and that light curve is completely different. So he had this whole thing with Oumuamua, 3-4 years back, where there was a rock significant in size, oddly shaped. The material seemed completely alien in how shiny it was, how it behaved, how it almost, how could I say, did not behave the way normal objects do when it came in close proximity to the sun. Gravity was not affecting it the same way. But it came and went extremely fast. Of course, Avi inferred that possibly this is like some kind of a space ship or an object of alien nature, which was, again, not from our solar system. But that really didn't go anywhere, right? So, there was arguments on both sides. The data pointed to this, the data pointed to that. It was kind of like a stalemate. But Avi is still, pushing it. He actually has another book coming out regarding Oumuamua, and I'm sure everything else that's happened ever since then. But he's got basically what is going to be an expedition to go off the coast of Papua New Guinea. And he's got together some experts who are basically ready with boats, maps, and they're going to go out to May 2023 to retrieve the meteor. And that's crazy. Avi is going to go. And, sometimes he slips when he's talking about this because he actually says this could be an alien craft. Oh, Avi. You don't know. Again, it doesn't have to be alien. It could just be something from outside of our solar system that came from a different solar system within our galaxy or something like that. It could be just different. Or it could be a probe. You never know. Deep space probe. Ended up landing off the coast of Papua New Guinea. Not Mama New Guinea. and Avi Loeb may be the one to get. Now, the thing is, I don't know that they're just going to let him do it. I feel like if there's a cover-up, someone's going to interfere with this. And Avi is not going to get his way entirely. That's just the way I feel about it because, sometimes you got to have conspiracies like this. That shit just really happens. There's more to this article if you want to check it out regarding good old Avi Loeb and other reasons why the UFO topic was so crazy in 2022. Things that happened from the government's perspective and the activity that happened there, politicians, and so forth. Catch up on 2022 because 2023 literally is around the corner and you don't want to be behind on the times. Check this out. Or not. Check this out. Merry Christmas to the Asgardians, by the way, who are out there somewhere right now. They're not on here live. It's just me alone and Bugs snoring in the background. I don't even know if you can hear him. This next story is about an alien star who visited, who was visited by UFOs for 50 years. Like I mentioned at the start of the podcast, this is Yaphet Kotto. Actually, Yaphet passed away back in March 15th of 2001. And he actually made his home in Manila, the Philippines. But he did an interview at one time with a popular, magazine outlet. Now, he was known for the film, of course, in 1979, Alien, with Sigourney Weaver. And that is the image that you see as the podcast photo for this episode. And the other film he was in was a James Bond film, Live and Let Die. He was also in The Running Man. And then also in the Midnight Run. Now, he had a lot of other movies and television appearances, but these were kind of like the more famous one. And actually, in James Bond, he played the villain, the main villain, Dr. Kananga. Crazy film. I love all the Bond films, by the way. Yaphet apparently as a child experienced 10 to 15 years of consistent encounters with aliens. He claimed that every time that he moved to a new home, at some point, a large circular smoke cloud would appear over his home. He says the most significant encounter he experienced as an adult was in the Philippines when a staff of his restaurant called him out and let him know that they all saw a large object in the sky that blotted out the moon and stars. Even in his own encounters, Kato claimed to have lost time, and he wondered if at all, possibly, maybe, he had been abducted by his alien visitors. One of the things that they asked him in an interview is, with these things happening to him, why would he take part in being part of a film that dealt with what people regard as one of the scariest alien movies out there, historically? He said it's because it's one of the best films he ever read. He said when he read the script, it was like 72 pages long, but he was so taken by what they wrote in it that he just had to be in it. He had to have a part in it. Another strange thing that he mentioned in his interview with Vice, it was Vice magazine, by the way, he says that the set itself of Alien was covered in secret signals from aliens, specifically using Egyptian hieroglyphics that only he would be able to find and decipher. That's kind of scary, right? Now, I know you're thinking right now, listen, let me just put this out there. We do not speak ill of the dead. I don't think that that we should, arrive at any negative feelings about what's going on. It is very possible that he was an experiencer, very possible that he just ended up in an alien movie. But the person that was interviewing him, after he mentioned seeing all those hieroglyphics around the set of Alien back in the 70s, late 70s, he asked him if he was ever diagnosed with mental illness. Basically, as we know, back in the day, you were a wacko, tinfoil hat expert, a nut, if you believed in aliens. Cotto did two things in the interview. He mentioned that he had an IQ of 196. He also defended his encounters by saying, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only famous person. I'm not the only known person that's had issues or has the knowledge or has encounters with aliens. One of the folks that he brought up in his defense was the Canadian Minister of Defense, Paul Hellyer, who, of course, testified that aliens exist and the United States knows all about it. People always point the finger over this way. I don't even know because I just don't know. Yaphet Kotto, again, passed away in 2021. So again, I just don't speak ill of the dead. He's not the only actor, singer, songwriter, or anything else in public eye that has experienced this thing that's called aliens, abduction, and visitation, and all that kind of craziness. So respectfully, we will take his story as it is. And you have to believe that the man believed in what he was saying, especially if he went on Vice, met with an interviewer, and told it like it was. I definitely want to read the rest of that interview. I got to figure out who the hell or how the hell to actually get a copy of that issue. The interviewer was Noel Ransom, so it'll be interesting to see how much detail Mr. Kotto went to at the time of the interview. But fantastic story. Never would have guessed that someone on the film of Alien, one of my favorite movies, that someone on the set was actually an experiencer since childhood. Gives you food for thought, I guess. I don't know. Does it? Check this out.
I'm a selfish kind of person with a soul trying to fly. I aim to break the laws of nature and learn to love before I die. I was naked then, I'm naked now. And my nakedness
believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space.
Little clip from Kennedy there, because the next article talks about missions to the moon and beyond in 2023. First up is India. Plans to launch the Chandrayaan-3 mission to the moon in June of next year. And they'll be taking a landing module and a robotic rover to explore the surface. Wow. Can this be true? Is India going to make it? Are they going to get this little robot on the moon to make its rounds? I don't know. We'll have to see. That'll be an interesting one to watch. See if they can actually land it on the moon. If they can hit the target. Russia plans to launch its Luna 25 mission July of 2023, putting a probe on the moon, and it's going to be gathering samples from the southern polar region. Literally, I don't know what the plan is. Are we going to divide up the moon into little sections of cheese? Like who's going to get which piece? It's going to be crazy. SpaceX is planning to take the Japanese billionaire Yusaku, I'm not going to say the last name, and 8 other passengers on the Dear Moon voyage around the moon in late 2023. Actually, there's some YouTubers that are going to be on there as well. One of them who is known for covering SpaceX missions right from when they started in the beginning, doing all these launches. So it's going to be interesting to see. And by the way, let's note that this would be the first mission for Starship, which should be capable of carrying about 100 people when it finally gets to its final version. The only thing is they still haven't done a suborbital launch, so I don't know who's going to be ready and willing to go without this suborbital launch happening, and maybe more than one, because I'd hate to see something bad happen to all those folks. NASA is planning its next moon mission for 2024. It will be Artemis 2, and it will take astronauts to orbit the moon. I guess they'll take pictures. I don't know what it is. Selfies from the Artemis 2 rocket, hopefully dressed. China plans with Russia to build a joint base on the moon by 2035. There's no timeline, nothing really put together, at least publicly. I mean, we know that Russia's a bit tied up now in making another big mistake historically. But who knows? Maybe they won't be completely broke by the time this base comes together. They'll be holding that shit with gum and vodka. The European Space Station, or ESA, is going to be, this is probably the most important mission, by the way, launching a vehicle, the Jupiter Icy Moon Explorer, or JUICE, if you're hip. April of 2023. The probe is going to look for signs of life in the water ice believed to lie under the surface of one of the 3 Jupiter's moons. I don't know. I really feel like this is going to be the single most important space mission for next year. Now, I don't know how this JUICE works, but it apparently is going after Ganymede, Callisto, and Europa. It's going to be great to see this. We'll have to look this up and discuss this a little bit further. This is the mission to look for right here. Now, to get to Jupiter, it's going to take a long time. We might be dead by the time that shit makes it. China plans to launch a telescope into low orbit in December of 2023 to map distant stars and black holes. those are some of the noteworthy activities that are going to be happening next year. The majority are next year, but again, my bet is on the European Space Station launch of JUICE. I feel like I'm going to be like in my mid-60s, almost 70 before that shit even hits the damn moons. I don't know. I just can't. One more article to go. This one is interesting. It kind of ties the UFC with a very famous historical alien abduction. Why not, right?
No more to stand with China. We need independence.
Yep. And what's your message to? Have you seen Donald Trump? Do you think he should step in?
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole.
On this last story that I'm going to torture you guys with today, there is an upcoming feature film that's going to be, I guess, titled White Mountains. This feature film is going to be based on the true story of Betty and Barney Hill. Now, if you don't know who Betty and Barney Hill, you have to look up the story. They were an American couple who was abducted by aliens in a rural road off of a state highway in New Hampshire back in September 19th and 20th of 1961. The Hills were driving back from Portsmouth from a vacation in Niagara Falls and Montreal. Just off of Lancaster, New Hampshire, Betty claimed to have observed a bright point of light in the sky. The couple followed the light for quite a bit, and they also looked at it through binoculars. After some time, they stopped near a field and saw 8 to 11 humanoid figures who were peering out of the craft's windows that seemed to be looking at them. Then the story is history after that. There was an abduction, lost time. There was hypnotic regression. And by the way, if you want to hear some really, I don't know, blood-curdling audio, it would be the audio that was recorded from those regression that was completed on Betty and Barney. You can hear them on YouTube. You can look at them, listen to them through the internet. There's some sites out there that still have them. And they were like, oh my God, if that was fake, I don't know how they would have won Actor of the Year every year since then if they were faking it, because it was blood-curdling just to hear them tell the story. And the one thing about Betty and Barney is that their stories matched up. Even when they put them separate from each other, even when they had separate hypnotic regression situations going down, the stories remained the same. And they coincided with each other. There's also physical evidence on Betty's dress that she wore those nights. It's a crazy story. It really is. Well, it turns out that a UFC fighter by the name of Angela Hill, she's a strawweight. She is the granddaughter of Betty and Barney Hill. So I don't know if she's taking part of this in some way, the actual feature film on the story. But she talks about in this interview how she actually went back to her grandfather's side, Barney's side of the family, visited them and kind of asked them about it. And they were like, hey, they kind of believed them. They believed their story. They believed that this happened to them. Which is fascinating. Now, flip the switch to the grandmother's side, to Betty's side of the family, and they thought they were all batshit crazy. Crazy. That's how they referred to him. So there you go. The families were split as to whether or not this really actually happened to them. I don't know. This happened at a time. Listen, abduction stories were not really that huge back then. As a matter of fact, this is the first well-documented, recorded abduction story. And what's interesting about this film is it's actually going to be produced by Barack and Michelle Obama's Higher Ground Productions. fascinating. I think a story like Betty and Barney Hill should really be kept at the forefront of the conversation today, because what we're hearing from these reports to Congress, which don't even show up, these reports to the public, which don't show up either. So the hearsay that's coming from those is that none of these things could actually happen, because there's no alien visitation. There's no evidence of aliens at all. Then who the freaking hell went out there in the early 1960s and abducted these two people? I mean, we could always assume that they were batshit crazy and they concocted the story in order to be famous. But what kind of fame would you get? What notoriety did they get out of this? Nothing. Zero. Heck, they've passed away, so they're getting this film about them, but it's not helping them now. The story should be, and as well as other stories too, should be placed in front of these folks who are allegedly investigating UFOs and UAPs, who are quick to say there's no evidence of any alien craft or alien visitation or something like that, even though F-18 Hornets are being toyed with, even though whole flotillas are being toyed with. They need to come up with answers for these pivotal stories, which are truly, completely documented, like Travis Walton in Arizona, and give us answers to those. Because I guarantee you there's data to these incidents somewhere. I mean, NORAD is watching something out in Colorado. Why wouldn't it catch pivotal incidents, major incidents, if they're watching? They're watching. Period. That's what they do, right? That's what NORAD does. Because did they fall asleep too? Or are they only looking for things coming from Russia and China? Somebody has data that can be matched up to many of these major incidents like the Phoenix Lights. But they're not letting it go. Because that's where all the information is. Because there's no way that in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and so forth, their technology was so horrible that we did not pick up major data during the times when we had mass incidents happening. I'm just saying. Let's go back. Let's forget about what happened in the 2000s. Let's go back to some of these, which are well known, and let's look at the data then, and then tell us whether that was alien or not. This is the end of this episode. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope everyone had a great holiday. We're about to leave 2022 and head into 2023. And now you know you've got some missions to keep an eye out for. But like I said, the European Space Agency's mission is probably the one that's going to mean the most. Other than that, farewell, ciao, and as I've said all of 2022,
today is the beginning of the end and the start of a new beginning. Time has come to refine yourself and to let go of the demons in your head that have held you in captivity for so long. It's time to flip the page and prove them wrong. It's time for rebirth. Yeah, time's up to say goodbye to all the haters, doubters, and non-believers trying to bring you down. In the blink of an eye, you'll realize that there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on. Finally, you will be free to live a life you love living instead of the life you think other people want you to live. Remember, you are the highest authority when it comes to knowing what you want and what you love. after me. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a I don't give a fuck. 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 It's time to start